Welcome back, coders, to another quick video. Today we're going to be taking a look at something quite interesting, I think, with regards to the most recent update to A Plague Tale Requiem, one of my favorite games from 2022. It's got some cool things in this patch, but the most notable thing is a performance mode patch, which by the patch notes says it goes up to and locks or targets 60 FPS. In my experience, even with very, very intense scenes, as you'll see, it not only holds 60 FPS, but can go beyond it, in fact. So if you have the right TV, and if you have the Xbox, at least on Xbox, I know for sure, set to variable refresh rate above at 120 hertz, you'll notice that you actually have a variable frame rate. I'm capturing this window of the Elgato 4K capture utility just to showcase what the refresh rate is actually displaying on my monitor. Rest assured that is exactly matching what my monitors also were displaying as well. And I know it's above 60 because if you lock it to 60, it never falls below that line. So if there's any variability, it has to be above it. So just based upon those two facts, while this is not a scientific test, it does rule out a lot of potential options. So one of the big things that I'll start with is just the image quality that is currently being displayed. You'll notice right off the bat that the source is showing us that we're at about 90 FPS in this viewpoint, which is a very, very big viewpoint across a wide range of things. That's pretty incredible considering. The way that they're able to accomplish that is through a couple things. First of all, I'm fairly certain that the draw distance has been reduced, meaning you're going to see a little bit more pop in closer to the camera, as well as some of the character culling and stuff like that was very CPU heavy in the original game have been kind of like more aggressive. The other big thing is they've dropped it to, I believe, a 1080p internal resolution. I'm not a pixel count expert, but I can assure you that the biggest change that I was able to see is that it is obviously more soft. And I knew that this game was running at a 1440p internal resolution and then upscaling it to 4K in the original game, which looked fantastic, by the way. On 4K sets, on 1440p displays, just looked absolutely fantastic. One thing of note that you'll remember is that originally, when you lock this to quality mode, but you also have your display set to 120 hertz, it would lock it to 40 FPS, which is a really great experience, and I highly recommend that. That's still the main way most people play. But I will say this unlocked variable refresh rate view is really good. Now, you're going to see some stuttering on my screen. That's just because of the 4K capture utility. On my video monitor, it looks fantastic. I'll show you some footage from a cutscene overlaid as we're doing this, but really what I want you to be watching is that frame rate counter in the top right. It's technically a refresh rate counter, but in this case, because it's above the 60 FPS line, the Elgato capture utility is showing us the live frame rate. So as you can see, we're aiming around 90 to 100 frames per second with this game. And if you play this game, you know it's absolutely stunning. There really have not been any visual cuts. I don't see any texture degradation or any of those other things that you'd normally see. It's strictly a resolution bump, as well as just some more aggressive culling of CPU characters and stuff like that. And you may notice that, like some half-rate animations in the background, some of those things. But every bit of detail is still there. So don't take everything of what you're seeing as absolute visual fidelity. Like, what I will say is that because I'm having to do this in kind of a weird way to showcase the frame rate live, it's not going to be as accurate as, say, somebody like Digital Foundry breaking it down. But for the most part, you'll notice that we never get close to that 60 FPS line, which is why the 60 FPS lock is so gosh darn good. And no matter what we do, it looks fantastic. The other thing that we'll cover in this video real quick is like what the recommended settings are. So let's dive into the menu. You should be able to follow me along here. Go to the graphic settings. You're going to see the two options are favorite performance or favorite resolution. We're going to go ahead and keep it there because you do have to restart the game. It's not really worth that. Motion blur is turned off. I personally don't think this adds any benefit if you're running in the VRR mode. However, if you are running in the 40 FPS mode, I do recommend it because it makes it look a lot smoother and looks great. Also, chromatic aberration, I have turned off. The big reason there is it causes kind of a foveated rendering kind of look to it. You can see the outside lines are quite fuzzy, and I don't particularly love that. It makes it feel a little bit more claustrophobic and unnecessarily so. It's already a soft looking image in this mode, so I recommend turning that off, and I think it looks a lot better that way. So those are my recommended settings. I think you keep motion blur off if you're going to play in VRR, turn it on if you're going to play at the quality mode, and then make sure that chromatic aberration is turned off. So let's just talk to this guy real quick. Just play a little further, see if we can get more examples. I don't remember what I am supposed to do here exactly, so it's been a while since I played this game. Highly recommend it. Probably one of my games of the year last year. Don't know if it was the game of the year, but it was definitely fantastic, and the story just absolutely expanded upon the first game in so many incredible ways, so highly recommend it. If you're hearing echoing, it's because I have my monitor audio on. Okay, but you can see just absolutely, this used to be the most demanding scene. It would even drop frames on the 40 FPS mode when it first launched. Not anymore. Absolutely insane. This was a game that absolutely needed a very big beast of a computer to run. And now there are even more options on the PC menu. Not that I have really broken that down. So let me go see. I think the guy is over to the left. We're gonna go ahead and check that out. I'll probably wrap this video up here pretty shortly, but let me know what you guys think of the update. Yep, looks like that thing's out of the way. Is this a worthwhile update, something that we should be really impressed by, that we should be giving a lot of favors to? Honestly, to me, it feels like almost a miracle update work. It took a year, and it starts to make sense why. We're seeing that kind of, that timeline hopefully shortened, though, in terms of updates that are getting performance where we expect them. 105 frames per second in this shot. Even though this is not a lot on screen, it's still very impressive with what's going on in this game. Okay, so now we have to go down this way. We go closer to the big arena. Still hovering around that 100 FPS line, which is just spectacular. And again, please do not take the video choppiness as an indicator. That's what is happening with my capture card, trying to keep up with the variable refresh rate while also updating us on the frame rate in real time. So there we are. We're almost at a locked 120 FPS. If we aim at the sky, you'll see that we are at a locked 120 FPS for the most part, like up here. And that's really special. We're pretty close to it. Not exactly. Let's see if we can get there at any point during this section, but the detail on display is just kind of spectacular, so I don't necessarily expect that. There we are. We're at a locked 120 FPS, and then it goes down. So most of the time, it's going to hover between 75 and 120 FPS, somewhere in that range. It's a pretty wide range, so you definitely want to make sure that you have a capable display to show that. Otherwise, I don't even think it would work. I don't think it's something you can enable without that. So anyway, let's just let this video play out, show just a little bit of the cutscene here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you again for taking a look at this video. I hope you've enjoyed this quick look at A Plague Tale Requiem's latest update. It really is worth it. If you were holding off, this is the time to dive in. Although you shouldn't have been holding off. This game is sensational at whatever frame rate you're playing it at. Let's get back to playing great games, enjoying our time. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications. And as always, stay classy, coders.